do it right. This is a growing area. I understand that. I understand broadband. We all live that. We're going to be faced with this, but there's a lot of issues here, and we want to make sure that we keep our standards up in our city, and that's the only reason why we're doing this. We're not trying to stop business. We're not trying to not be, ahead of the technology here. We're just trying to keep the standards of our city up to the level that they already have. So with that, I'm going to request a reading of the title of the urgency ordinance, please.
This is ordinance number 1094, an urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Camarillo, California, extending a moratorium on all new wireless telecommunications facilities.
Move to adopt an urgency ordinance extending the moratorium on all new wireless telecommunication facilities.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously. All right, so that gets us back to, City Council, new business oral communication. Okay, Jan, do you want to start tonight? Do you have anything for us tonight?
Sure. On the list of meetings attended, you have VCOG down on June the 26th, but we actually didn't have a meeting. We have one tomorrow night. So, and we talked about the dinner the last time we were there, I think, so that one I don't have to do. I have a couple of things. I have a question, I guess it's for Mr. Norman. With the widening of Ponderosa above the Springville development, and that's going to occur fairly quickly, and then maybe this is Mr. Fox. But the question I'm getting is from the Palm Colony development. Are we doing any walling, any kind of walls, a sound barrier type of a wall along that development as part of that project? Or is it just going to be the wrought iron wall fencing that's there? Anybody know?
Just so I'm clear on the question, along the north side of Ponderosa, adjacent to Palm Colony, there is no proposal to change their wall or their fence in any way. So, that's, if that's their question, no, we won't be modifying their fence. However, on the south side of Ponderosa, it varies by each of the properties. So the Amley property where the apartments are going, they've positioned their buildings so that there won't be a wall along Ponderosa, but instead, there'll be buildings facing the street. As you get to the Laurel project, which is the next property to the west, there will be a wall set back like we've done out in the Mission Oaks area with the landscaping separating the street and the wall to kind of buffer the view of the wall. But there will be a wall that's intended to be, a sound wall for that housing development. And then west of that is the Rancho property, and that's kind of a mix. There is some residential that'll have a wall, but then there's a commercial site that will not have a wall. So it kind of varies along Ponderosa by each property.
Do you recall if in all the discussions, was it ever discussed about giving a wall along the Palm Colony? There are some homes that back right up to fairly close to Ponderosa without any kind of sound barrier.
The environmental document for all of Springville, the specific plan, as well as then the individual analysis for each of the RPDs or the planning approvals of the individual properties and their development looked at noise and basically identified that the noise on Ponderosa isn't going to increase that much, and the increase is not due to the development necessarily. And if again, it's really more of a factor of whether the development that's there was going to experience noise towards the freeway, and that was the only impact that was identified, which is why the berm was built along the freeway, but there really wasn't identified a need to mitigate noise along Ponderosa.
Okay. She'll pass that along. As somebody said earlier, we get these questions, and sometimes we don't have the answers. I have another one having to do with our website, and I know we're about to start updating that. And this has to do with the hazardous waste appointments. If you go to our website, you see the location, and it says, here's the, I guess you can send an email. Here's the form, fill it out, and you can send it in. And it lists all the times. You pick a time but you don't know that that time's no longer available. So it'd be really nice when we do it that it's a little more interactive so that when you're signing up, you don't wait 2 days to find out your time doesn't work and life goes on.
We really do not have control of that. My understanding is that sends an email to the particular waste operator, and then they respond as to whether or not that time is available or that they can make the
Correct.
appointment for that time.
That is
So
what happens now, but what I'm asking is if we can look at it in the future as we update it to make it a little bit more interactive, so you don't wait 2 days to find out that it's more, what's available is shown.
we can certainly talk to the operators and see if there's a way to interface with them, but that does create some complexities since it sends an email to them and then they respond to the email versus us having an interactive system with their appointment making.
Do they have an online appointment-making capability on their website?
I would have to check with each
If they
operator
do,
on
maybe we
that.
could just have a link and say.
And
click
that's
here.
certainly something I'll check with the appropriate staff on.
But this is just our collection, our community one that we do through, what is it called now?
Safe Harbors?
Safe Harbors. So that's the one I'm specifically talking about, and that's the one where you can go right on our website, sign up, and
We'll certainly check it.
so it should be nice if when we're updating it,
Sure.
to see if it'd make it a little easier.
We will try and do that.
My other one has to do with Camarillo Springs. We've been getting some emails regarding the golf course and that surround the, I think it's the mobile home park, and maybe some of the other residents, having to do with the lack of maintenance and stagnant water. And I know there's only so much we can do, and I've read some of those emails going back and forth. But one of the things that came up that I hadn't heard much about is whether some of these ponds that are sitting there so stagnant, if we have a mosquito issue, has anybody been out to check that kind of a problem?
Let them know that, would you?
I can't speak as far as whether they've just been out since we've received the comment. We're looking into that. There is a routine vector control program throughout the county. And yes, if it does reach that point where it's stagnant and identified to be producing some pest issues, then they are required to deal with that. However, until there's evidence of, the need for pest control, then I'm not sure what actions can be taken. But we can look into that and give you more specific information.
If you can just, I realize, sometimes we can only do what we can do, but I think if maybe it's simply checking with, isn't it a special district? Who's the vector control?
Didn't there used to be a mosquito
County.
abatement district, or did that?
Does it fall under the county?
County.
County, okay.
Maybe just a conversation with them to see if they've been out to check it and where it is on their routine to make sure. Okay. And the last one, oh no, I have two more. Fireworks. I want to thank, staff and the Lions Club and everyone who made a great night for our citizens. I was a little disappointed in the fireworks themselves. I'm hoping that staff has a good discussion with why, one, it was 20 minutes late, and obviously the ground fireworks kind of turned into a smoke bomb or whatever you might call. It didn't quite work out, so I'm hoping that something is, I'm going to leave that one to staff. But
Yeah, we are in
wanna-
discussions with them regarding the ground display, and they're open to discussing a discount on the price.
I
So.
hope so.
And the 20 minutes, I can find out why that was late. I don't know
I
the
can tell
answer
you
to
that in
that.
just a second.
I think what makes it so difficult, the people in the stadium, they got to listen to the community band, and the community band probably got tired of playing Stars and Stripes, but when you're out and so many people watch from all around, and they were all sitting out there expecting to happen, and you wait 20 minutes, it makes it a little difficult. So whatever happened this year, hopefully in the future, we can figure out how to avoid it, because it really is a super event, and an awful lot of people were there. The stadium had a great audience, the lawn was full, and it was a good day for Camarillo other than the fireworks. The last one I just want to mention, and I don't want to get into who has said what or whatever on what was brought up earlier from Terry Bray. I just want to make the comment that somehow I got into the middle of a conversation that was taken on, and I just personally want to say that when I sit up here, and I have for almost 16 years now, it doesn't matter to me whether it's an election year or not. I do my work the way I always do my work, and I take it very seriously. So I would hope that people would not say otherwise of me, because to me it's a very important job, and I don't play to an audience. I do what I think is right in representing our citizens, and have been here working for our citizens for a lot of years, and I don't like being brought in the middle of something that, particularly when I'm quoted as saying something that I didn't quote, or shouldn't have been quoted on. So I will leave it at that.
Mrs. Craven?
I have several things, too. I attended the RDP 21 meeting on July 1st, which was a report, a belated report, on the RDP trip to Washington, D.C. this year, which I was not able to attend.
I didn't think you went to that.
And it was very interesting. I also attended a wall whacking.
I saw that in the picture in the paper.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah, I could lift the axe and put a hole through the wall. And it was fun. And their new facility is going to be a tremendous asset for this community as we grow older, and at least we all hope we grow older. We'll be able to take advantage of that. And I don't mean just the 5 of us up here, but everybody in the city of Camarillo. It's a tremendous asset to have an adult daycare center where even one day a week, the caregivers can get some kind of a rest and be able to go and run their errands and have their own doctor's appointments and things, and not have to worry about that person that needs total care. So it's going to be a great facility, and I don't know if they're really going to be able to do it, but they say they're going to have the whole thing completed and their ribbon cutting on October 22nd, and I'm hoping that we will talk to them and make sure that that happens in the morning, so that if anybody wants to go, it will not be during the time of our tour or during the evening during our time when we have our special council meeting. So anyway, I have a question, and I don't know who it's to, but I have 2 questions. Maybe Mr. Kildee, maybe Mr. Pernick. They're on animal control. How do they respond to, have they changed the way they respond to people with dog bites and things like that? Do they?
Not to my knowledge. It's the same.
Not to my knowledge, it's still the same process where you get the form for an administrative hearing.
This person thought because the animal shelter is in Camarillo, that it was a city of Camarillo thing that everybody else was contracting with. The person lives in the unincorporated area, but it's the same question. They received several bites from a vicious dog and called animal control, and they said they no longer come out and get dogs in that situation, and they no longer have anything to do with the reports. And I would like for somebody to find out from animal control if that is their regular response to people, if that has changed. And if that has changed, I think then we need to have a discussion, because I thought that was one of the things we were paying them to do in our city.
Is this in the unincorporated area of the county?
It was in Somas.
In Somas.
It might be different in their contract.
Well,
That would be through the county, would it not?
it'll be through the county.
County.
We'll look into it.
I don't know, but I want to know how they answer, and I'm not going to call and give a false report, but I want to know how they would answer people with the same situation in the city of Camarillo. That's my question, because I thought that's what we were paying them to do.
We'll look into that.
thank you. And the other one is, where do we stand on the vicious dog ordinance? It was going to be when the new person came in, and the
Well,
new
the-
person's here.
Yeah, the new person, she's actually a Camarillo resident as well, but we're still having some issues rounding up all the other cities, one in particular, but I'm going to make the suggestion that we just go it without this city here. We were going to have a meeting tomorrow, but it got canceled. So I think we'll probably have a meeting sometime in August now, I think. Dan, I don't know if you've had any up-to-date information.
I haven't seen when the next meeting's scheduled, but
Well, I know we're not discussing this, but I'm going to tell you my opinion anyway. I think this has been dragging on a long time, and I think it's an important issue. And for their convenience, to their officers, they want the same ordinances in every single city they service, so that there's no mistake. Well, we hire the sheriff's department, and we have different ordinances that they enforce here, some of them, than there are in other parts of the county. So I don't think that's a valid thing, that everybody's got to have exactly the same thing. And if one city is holding up something that needs to be discussed countywide, then I agree with you. We need to, you guys need to move forward.
Right, and I think that what we might want to do is at least have a study session here with our city and show you what the ordinance is. And I've been trying to I'm the chair of that as well, and I've been trying to get the other cities to either have study sessions or agendize or something so we can get, the ball rolling on this.
Get a
But I'm going to
dialogue.
start pushing this now that we've got the new executive director in, and she's doing some great things. I got to tell you, we're getting real close to a no-kill shelter, so that's the good thing. But to get back to your point, maybe we need to have like a study session and bring the ordinance so we could revisit it here. You can give me directions on how you'd like me to represent the city on that, and then I can say, okay, we've done this. What have you done yet? So we can get it going.
we can also contact the staff out there and see the status from the staff perspective and give an update on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the final thing is something that, I picked up a flyer the other morning. I was someplace and there was a big yellow sheet, and I was kind of surprised, and so I guess this is an allowed use out at the airport, but it was for the Clothes Hanger, which is a clothing store, I guess, that was in one of the buildings out at the airport, and I was surprised to see a commercial use out there.
We had heard about the clothes hanger from one of our planning commissioners. However, we know nothing about it. And so there is a section of the airport that is controlled by the county in terms of development and use and permits, but it never came our way, and we don't even know where it's located. If you have the flyer, we'd certainly like to do it, and I'd like to take it up with the airport director.
I neglected to pick it up on my way out of the house. It's right in front of my TV, right by the door. I will fax it, I'll scan it and email it to you, so you'll have it in the morning. It has the address.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Mr. Little?
Well, first of all, regarding that clothes hanger, we have an airport authority meeting tomorrow night. And
I'll fax it to you, too, or I'll
I can
email it.
raise the issue with Mr. McAmey, at least find out the bare essentials of the deal and turn the information over.
So you want bear clothes?
Whatever. Yeah, if you could just send it to me, I'll take it, and then we'll take it up with him. Speaking of the airport, I did represent the city and gave a certificate of recognition to the airport for their new viewing platform, which, if you haven't been there, it's really a neat thing. It's as I described it in my talk about, it's kind of like a little Disneyland. It's got a runway and a tower that you can actually hear the tower communications going on with the planes comes in over this tower, so these the people sitting there or standing there can hear what's going on. They have wonderful furniture around there and grass, and it's a great place for kids to go and look. And of course, it's associated with one of the better restaurants in Camarillo. And suggest that if you have a chance, go out there and take a look. It's really, and you could see a lot of the airplanes coming and going, and they really did a terrific job. And it was basically the 99s group, which is a women's aviation association, was kind of the spearhead of that. But everyone participated: the EEA, the Commemorative Air Force, the Department of Airports, and a couple of other organizations all pitched in, and there's enough. It's well done, and it's probably something that was going to be enjoyed for many years. The other things I participated in was attended a Chamber Economic Development Committee meeting in the first part of July. On last night, I attended the Camarillo Ranch Foundation Board, and we had the last of the 2 new appointees were seated and sworn in, and so I think that makes 5 new people. And I think this next year we may end up with 3 or 4 others who have decided that they want to retire from it. So we've got our job cut out to get some more people this next time around. But they're moving forward on a number of areas. They did have a car show out there that was probably their biggest one they've ever had, and did very well in terms of, they had about 1,000 people out there. And speaking of large crowds, several of us attended the 100th anniversary mass at St. Mary Magdalene, and there was 600 people, I suspect, there.
So, yes.
So very well attended. Had very, very nice. And I've also found out, because my house is involved in it, there are several areas in Camarillo that's been now identified as having the possibility of this Asian citrus phyllis. And in fact, they had a meeting last night at Rio Mesa for all the people in several places in Camarillo. So I'll keep you posted on that invasion. So because we're right in one of the areas affected. So, and they're going to be spraying. They will be coming in and spraying both, having a spray on the ground spray. They will come in and spray the trees, as well as then provide a drench, what they call a drench, around the root system of the tree. But it's apparently here in town, so, and it apparently does terribly, it just simply ruins the tree. It will never grow another.
You have both the bug and the bacteria?
Well, no one knows what anyone. Yes.
Well, but up to now, they've only had the bug without the bacteria in Camarillo.
We don't know. They don't know, but they've found their traps have picked up the
bug.
the bugs. And so that's what they're now, without knowing whether they carry the disease or not, they're going to go in and spray where these bugs have been found in the traps. So that's what they're doing now. And I think there are 4 areas of the city that are affected. One is in the up around Las Posas Country Club.
Oh,
Well, they sprayed everybody on Beverly.
yep, and us too, me.
They didn't spray me.
Yeah.
They killed my tree.
I backed to them.
You were the other one, and there's the area where out around Upland and Santa Rosa, and there's one other. I think it's in the center of town someplace. So, anyway, it's just another visitor.
The last time they did that in mine, they killed my tree, definitely. I don't know if they sprayed it too much or whatever. My tangerine tree, which was healthy, went whoop, gone.
Bill, you have anything?
No, that's it.
Before I get to you, Mike, Charlotte had one other meeting she wanted to announce.
Yeah, last night, Jan and I attended a meeting that was called by Kathy Long to allay some concerns and fears, as Kathy put it, by homeowners in western Camarillo, mainly people who live near the youth authority. And the purpose of the meeting was to have CAL FIRE and the Department of Corrections. They had probably 10 people from the two agencies there to answer questions. The plan is to repopulate the fire camp. The fire camp started in 1989. It closed in 2011. And during that time, it was populated with people from various youth authorities, except for one crew. They were all at one time toward the end. All the rest were males. They had to be 18 and up to 22, and they had to fulfill certain criteria. In the meantime, as crews have gone through the state, or, up and down the state fighting fires, after they're, as I understood him to say, at times they needed rest, like after firefighting, they would come there and stay there for a period of time before going on to wherever they were based. So they have had people there all the time. The people are concerned because they're inmates. The fire camp has always, when it existed for all those years, it was populated by inmates. The current plan is to repopulate it with adult males, and those adult males have to be somewhere between 18, and there's no maximum age. However, they do have to go through rigorous training, and I would say that people who are quite a bit older probably wouldn't be able to survive the training. They also have to have less than 5 years left on their sentence. They said that the average, when they come into the fire training program, or when they actually get to be a firefighter, not in the training program, which will not be here, they have an average of 9 months left on their sentence. And so at the end of that time, they're paroled, and they're sent back to the community where they came from. All in all, there was, at one point, one of the people asked or said, I'm very much against it, I being the man who was speaking. He said, I'm very much against this program, and I want everybody who's against it to raise your hands. And I'd say there was, 25% of the people who were there who raised their hands. The rest of them, I believe, either were for it or they just didn't care. But I wanted to tell you about the meeting because it was very, very informative. There were some papers handed out. I didn't get one of them. It was different than the papers that Kathy Long's office sent here ahead of time. These were papers that were distributed by I don't know if it was by CAL FIRE or Department of Corrections, but it would be good if we could contact Kathy Long's office and then get some of the papers that were actually handed out at the meeting. I believe that every council member would benefit by reading that. It was a very informative presentation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Morgan.
By the way, Kevin, I think Guy might verify this. I think there's only been, no one's walked away from the facility before, but they have walked away from a site, and that's been very seldom, once or twice in all those
He
years.
said it was once, and I know when it was. It was when they were fighting, I think it was the Green Meadow Fire.
Right.
And it was in that Sycamore Canyon area, and he just put it down and walked away.
That's the only person who's ever gone from that facility when they had it before. So I don't think they're screened very well.
Let me just add, Mike, that I believe from the way people talked last night, they do not realize that the youth authority facility is still there. The corrections people made it clear, but I believe some people think that the Youth Authority facility is no longer being used either. They think the whole thing closed down. There are still people out at the Youth Authority. It is still the only place in the state where women 18 and under are incarcerated. There are some people out there who've committed some very, very, very serious crimes. There are also some men out there. And so it's a two-part prison.
And we also have a Job Corps sitting next door
There's,
that go out and do fires and trails and the whole shot.
yeah, CCC.
Yep.
is
So you got a whole
out
group
there. And so anyway, maybe the people don't realize what exactly is next to them, but their concerns, Kathy tried and tried. I admire the way she kept telling them that she did not believe they were going to be harmed by the people who will be in the firefighting camp. It's called a fire camp, not a firefighting camp. And right now, there are plans. The only thing holding them up is they don't have money to implement it.
Your Honor, could I add one more thing to that report? The other thing that I came away from some of the people who did not like the idea was the idea of introducing adults. And I think that was one of the fears, is if they introduced adult inmates versus the juvenile inmates, the fear being that once there's adults out there, then it would be easier to convert the other one to an adult facility. And I think that's one of their biggest fears, because remember, we went through that a few years ago where they were threatening to do that. So I think that's one of the underlying problems as well. So if they do this, and I certainly believe CAL FIRE in saying they own the property, they own the facility, and when you look at the map, there's a huge area that is not served by CAL FIRE. So this really does serve a good thing for Ventura County. But I think it's something that we just have to watch and make sure that they keep their facility exactly how they propose to use it, and that not drift off into some other use. And that's something, one piece that perhaps we can play in that is making sure they stay true to that mission.
There was one last thing, and the last person to speak was the Ventura County Fire Captain. And he said that, Fire Chief, I'm sorry. He said that at any one time, he has 125 firemen on duty throughout the county, which seems really low to me, but at any rate, that's what he said. And he said that that he can call other people up, but he can't call them up just like this because they're all scattered and they're doing this and that. But he said having this many people, 110 is what they're proposing, having 110 people here ready to go would almost double his firefighting capability at any time. That's something to think about.
Okay, anything else, ladies? Mr. Morgan, proceed, please.
This has been a real long 2 weeks because the fiesta is right here. It seems like it all comes together, finally, meshes in the end. But it's going to be one of the best, probably best fiestas we've ever had. We're putting more into it because it's the city's 50th and doing a lot of good entertainment. Let me start at the bottom. First of all, Jack in the Box, you wonder why it closed? I mean, out of the nowhere it closed. Well, I talked to the owner of the facility, that owns the whole project, the whole land there, and she said that they closed because the franchisor wanted them to fix that one up like the McDonald's been fixing theirs up. It's their requirement. Well, they were going to have to spend so much, they decided forget it, and they left.
So you're referring to the one on Las Posas?
Las Posas and Lewis, the one that closed. And so they left that facility, not because they weren't doing business, they were, because we all wondered why. And she did too, because there's always a line in that thing. So anyway, I thought I'd let the council know why they closed. Wall whacking, that was a lot of fun. And Charlotte did whack that wall. I got to do it later. I'm going to see how far I could go. But I was there also, and it was a lot of fun, had a lot of good camaraderie. We also went to the university trip today. We got to report that we went out and got a tour, a great tour with the president of the university. And so we're now kind of up to steam on university a little bit. 4th of July, what a day. Number one, we had St. Mary's 100th year anniversary, and I'm a knight, and so I was there working morning and afternoon, serving food and doing other things, parking cars, a lot of little things that we were doing. But it was very successful, and I got to meet the cardinal. Great guy, really friendly guy too, I'll tell you. Then I went and rested for about an hour and took off for the 4th of July because the Knights, or the Lions had asked me to be the MC. Well, it went fine for a while, and went real well. And we had, I announced that the sponsors, okay, I always announced us, and the other sponsors are putting it on, and other things I had to say. We got to the evening time, though, when we're getting close to the fire show. And Doug Kohler, who's running the sound, but he also is involved with the people shooting off the rockets, to tell me and him when to put the music on and get started. Well, we get down toward the end. Kevin came on at the right time, did his thing. He did a great speech about the city and what it was and all about. And then I get the bad news that, Mike, we need 5 more minutes. I went, oh, okay. So I come up and talk to the orchestra. Can you guys please do one more play, please? And they did a really good job. Well, that ended, and I found out we need 10 more minutes and went, oh, no. So I made a few comments to the audience, but bear with us, But they were great to put on another 10 minutes, and they repeated their songs then from earlier. Yes, 2 of them. And so when that was done, and he gives me the go, and the lights go off, and up it went. Well, everything went well except for one thing. And I think 4 of us were there, and we saw it. We saw and staff's talking to them about it. But I was there that afternoon and asked them to bring that thing up closer. But what they did was, because it's way back in the back, our thing we paid for to show the symbol, well, they put other fireworks in front of it. So when it went off, they went off first, and boom, clouds. It went off, and you couldn't hardly see it at all. I'm not even sure if the whole thing lit up because there's so much smoke. Anyway, I talked to them about it, and they still didn't do anything. So I'm glad staff's looking at it now. Let's see. A concert last week. 2 weeks ago. Concert in the park with Caught Red-Handed. That was a great job. They did a fantastic job. It was a neat community feeling at that time because everyone seemed to be having fun. And we got more from that than we did anything else. Now, the Fiesta activities are just driving me nuts, but it's almost there, folks. It's almost there. And this weekend's going to be a fantastic weekend. I encourage you all to come in the booth, the city booth, and help out a little bit, during the Fiesta. You're going to be there. That's good. But we've got such great talent. And Saturday night's going to be music night for Camarillo, because we're going to have the Beach Boys tribute band over at the park for the Arts Council on Saturday night. And then we're going to have other kinds of music. We're going to have the Elevation. We're going to have, what's his name? Elevation and the Wild Child, which is a Doors tribute band. They call it Jim Morrison Tribute Band. And if you listen to it, it's fantastic. We got bands like that all day. And so that day is going to be a fantastic day in Camarillo for music. KTVA. I was over at KBTA interviewing this morning, and you guys will be glad to know that before we got into the Fiesta, he started talking about how great Camarillo was. I mean, he started naming all this stuff. How do you guys do this, that, and bragged about Camarillo. Finally, we got to the Fiesta, and I said, you're right, we're going to keep it that way. So it was good to have them saying good things about us. Anyway, we did our commercials, and that's it. That was enough. I don't need any more. We're done.
All right, a few things here. On June 29th, I attended with the Arts on the Boulevard. I attended a open house with them. I had a VRSD meeting Thursday, along with several other council members. I attended the St. Mary Magdalene 100th Centennial Mass and the 4th of July at the high school. And I thought, all in all, other than the smoke, there's certainly a great turnout there. Mm-hmm. So it's a real credit, I think, to the city that we can get that many people in one spot and really have very little problems.
Over 10,000,
incredible,
by the way.
Yeah, that's incredible. And with that,
I'd like to make one comment. I was there at the high school, and we were walking with some friends and going towards the stadium. We walked by the new pool. Mm-hmm. I heard a number of people saying, what is this? They had not even known that the high school now has a beautiful pool, but at least all the people that got up to that part of the stadium finally saw it. So it was at least
beautiful pool, all right.
It is a beautiful pool.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, that's all I have, and no further business. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.